This is the new approach, the new philosophy that we need in Britain today, an approach with fairness and solidarity at its heart. And as we reflect on and implement the result of the referendum, we must recognise that we have a unique opportunity and responsibility to deliver the change that people want and need. An opportunity because Britain is going through a period of great national change. And as we do so, we have a once-in-a-generation chance to step back and ask ourselves what kind of country we want to be. A responsibility because a failure to take this opportunity to show the ability of mainstream centre-ground politics to respond to public concern would further entrench the very divisions we seek to overcome. For we know what happens when mainstream centre-ground politics fails. People embrace the fringe, the politics of division and despair. They turn to those who offer easy answers, who claim to understand people's problems and always know what and who to blame. We see those fringe voices gaining prominence in some countries across Europe today. Voices from the hard left and the far right, stepping forward and sensing that this is their time. But they stand on the shoulders of mainstream politicians who've allowed unfairness and division to grow by ignoring the legitimate concerns of ordinary people for too long. Politicians who embrace the twin pillars of liberalism and globalisation as the great forces for good that they are, but fail to understand that for too many people, particularly those on modest to low incomes living in rich countries like our own, those forces are something to be concerned, not thrilled about. Politicians who supported and promoted an economic system that works well for a privileged few, but failed to ensure that the prosperity generated by free markets and free trade is shared by everyone in every corner and community of their land. Politicians who made the deals and signed the agreements that changed the nature of their country, but failed to listen to the public's concerns, dismissing them as somehow parochial or illegitimate instead. The result of this consensus, this way of conducting politics, has been to bring us to a place where all the old certainties are called into question. People are questioning whether the system of globalisation, free markets and free trade, one that has underpinned so much of our prosperity, is actually working for them. When they lose their jobs or their wages stagnate or their dreams of, such as owning a home, seem out of reach, they feel it's even working against them, serving not their interests or ambitions, but those of a privileged few. And they're questioning the legitimacy of all the old institutions and systems we've relied on for decades. They've seen a small minority in the banking and business sectors appearing to game the system and playing by their own rules. They've watched Parliament dragged into a row about political expenses, the media mired in questions about phone hacking, a system that allows lawyers to get rich by hounding our brave troops. And they come to a simple conclusion, that there is one rule for the rich and powerful and another for everyone else. This is dangerous, for it sows division and despair as the gap between those who are prospering and those who are not gets even larger and resentments grow. And it emboldens the voices of protectionism and isolation, who would tear down all we have achieved and take us back to the past. So our responsibility is great. It is to show that mainstream centre-ground politics can deliver the change people need, that mainstream centre-ground politics can respond to public concern, and that a mainstream centre-ground government understands what needs to change and has a plan to set things right. And that's why this government has a plan not simply to manage our withdrawal from the European Union, but to take this opportunity to fundamentally change Britain for the better. A comprehensive, wide-ranging plan for the kind of country we want to be. A plan to build a country where wealth and opportunity are shared, where all of us, no matter what our background, play by the same rules, and where future generations enjoy the same opportunities from which their parents have benefited throughout their lives. I will say more about this plan in the coming weeks. I will talk more about our plans for economic reform, our plans to build a global Britain, and our ambitions to build a more united country.